Hi YouTube, it's November Eve, or Lonnie, back here again. Today I want to talk about invocations, and specifically how to write them. You know, when you invoke an entity, you are appealing to that entity for support, guidance, or to embody their qualities. In a lot of witchcraft circles, it has the definition of inviting that deity into yourself. Not as scary as that sounds, though proceed with caution. Compared to evoking a deity, which is commonly defined as just inviting the spirit into the same space circle as yourself. The dictionary happens to use the words invoke and evoke to define each other interchangeably. So, and these words can also vary by your particular tradition. Entities are often invoked or evoked in rituals to lend their power to the working. An invocation is used to call forth the invited spirit, usually more formal, like a prewritten prayer. Now, witchcraft does not need to be so solemn and serious all the time. It's all right to call on a spirit speaking from your heart. These are just a few of the steps that I use when I write an invocation with an example. And today we're also going to do a little pop culture magic because we're going to be discussing invocation that I wrote for Superman. Now, when you are getting ready to write your invocation, set your intention. What do you want to accomplish with this? In my example, with Superman, I had sustained a debilitating injury and was seeking assistance with recovery. I wanted him to lend me his strength since it's pretty much inexhaustible. I figured he had some to spare. And, Superman is known to always want to help. Well, maybe not in some, you know, the Snyderverse. But Superman 2025, which is an awesome movie, shows us a Superman full of optimism, compassion, and kindness. And that's one of the reasons why I love working with him as an archetype. Decide what entity aligns best with your intention. You'll generally get a better result if you choose the spirit you have worked with before and trust. My love of Superman goes back a long way since I was a kid watching cartoons. There were like old cartoons from the 30s and the 60s and the Super Friends. And I don't remember a lot of the details. I just remember how Superman made me feel. In fact, when I was in kindergarten, I had a Superman backpack. Oh, what I would do to have that backpack again. It was red and it had Superman punching rocks like a meteor shower or something. And the little girls in class decided to tell me that was a boy's backpack. And they wouldn't play with me because I had a boy's backpack. But, I still made a couple of friends. And, I had Superman with me. So I didn't feel alone. And I've always looked at him as an example of strength, compassion, and honesty. That's what I was talking about before. So invoking him as part of my recovery was something that I felt was very natural, especially as I wanted to delve into the realm of pop culture magic. The next step is to research. How have folks called out to this entity before? Look over some invocations for inspiration if you would like. Pull from their mythos. Get a list of epithets. Yes, that's how you say it. I always confuse it with epitaph, but epithets are like alternate names that entities or deities are called. In the case of Superman, this is, Superman, Clark Kent, Kal-El, last son of Krypton. He has different nicknames, the Big Blue Boy Scout, things that he is known by. And so you may want to pepper your invocation with these different epithets, these different names, calling out a deity. A lot of times, these names associated with deities are associated with different aspects of their portfolio, what their powers are. So pick some that align with the purpose of your ritual spell, what you're looking to embody. And then finally, time to write. Mine don't always rhyme. Approach your appeal with respect. It doesn't fit my practice to make demands, just requests. Uh, um, you know, whatever feels right to you when you're writing it. Uh, whether you do demand or not. That's there are people who practice that, and it's valid. I don't. I simply, make a request, and uh, am usually satisfied with the result. So, once you're satisfied, you can craft your ritual. It is customary to make an offering when calling forth a spirit. Look to your tradition for examples. For Superman, I always look for ways to be kind to others, to lend my strength where I can, my know how. And I will post this in the description below. But just as an example, here's the invocation that I wrote to Superman to have some borrowed strength. Kal-El, last son of Krypton, I call you forth from the realm of imagination. Fly to me, Superman, lend me your might. By the rays of the sun, I claim strength. Boldly I walk. I summon the inner reserves of your fuel. Clark Kent, hold my hand so I may glide freely through the world. I know your compassionate heart and thank you for your grace. And I would say that before I began doing my exercises and my strengthening training to be able to push a little further than I had before, to be a little sturdier than I was before. And incrementally, with the support of my family, my coven sisters, my dear friends, and the entities I called on, I, am back stronger than I was before my injury. And I'm so very grateful to that for that. And I guess that will conclude our segment for today. Don't want to run on like last time. And I appreciate if you made it all the way to the end of the video. If you practice pop culture magic, then let me know in the comments and tell me who's your favorite archetypical character or power to work with. All right. Thank you.